Hey Sparks, what's up? And hello to my new subscribers. It's Montina here. And my mission with this channel is to inspire, educate, and share information that helps you thrive in life and thrive in business. If that sounds good to you, subscribe. So I'm doing a talk now, and I wanted to create a series around what I call the DEAs, men over 50 that born 1971 or earlier. Very, very specific, and the videos are created for women over 40 that are single or divorced with children. That means you either had them out of wedlock or you were married when you had them, and you want to attract the love that you desire and deserve. Now, what I share will more than likely work for women that are more feminine energy or desire to be more feminine energy, because I'm talking about what can help you in terms of strategies and tips and things that can attract a masculine energy man. They are providers, protectors, producers, and they want women that are feminine, inspiring, and I call goddess energies. I'll talk about that. I call it my figs. They want figs, honey. They want figs. Figs are good for fertility in your ovaries. We don't want no babies after 40. I mean, unless you do. I don't. Also, this really, when I say with children, most of the women that I know that are over 40, we have adult children. My youngest at the time of this video is 17. So my responsibilities, my attention, my life is completely different than it was in my 20s and 30s when, I chose to have children under the wrong circumstances. So again, this is for my women that want to attract these men over 50. So a few things here. I'm going to do a whole separate video on how to attract them and basically have them connect with you if you tend to look a little bit younger. So out and about, I tend to look a little bit younger in my 30s. I had a hard time attracting older men. I've always loved older men. So I'm calling my DEAs. I'm going to break that down for you, but the D is distinguished. I think that, and I call you all older, seasoned men, because I know some men watch my videos. I think that men over 50 are so sexy. I love the gray hair. My honey, my Superman has gray hair in his beard. I love the way he talks. I love the way he smells. I love his raspy voice that he has. I love everything, his just presence. Sometimes he stands next to me and I'm like, breathe, Montina, breathe. I remember early on in our relationship, one time he kissed me and then he was real close to me and he said, how do you feel? How's that feel? And I was like, oh Lord, we hadn't been intimate yet. I was like, whoo! But they're more distinguished, and that leads to a lot more respect from you as a woman, because these are men that had really maybe been on their jobs 20 plus years. The men I met once I started back dating in 2020, all of them had been on their jobs like 15, 20 years. There's men that I know that I worked with in corporate 15, 20, 25 years. They started work at 20. And these are typically the men that have stayed on their jobs. This is the last group of old school traditional men. They're very distinguished in how they look. I mean, in the gym, I checked, they're checking me out. I'm not checking them out, but I'm nice. I speak to all men. I love black men, but I'm like, we're going to talk about your sexual marketplace value, because other men help you determine pretty much your value, even though you may think you would determine your value. But these men, the gray beards, my ex-father-in-law from my second marriage, he was in his 70s, but he was a sharp, debonair man. He would make me dinner and dote over me, and we'd drink wine and we'd talk. They're just different. They move different, and they really do like pampering women. They like serving. Most of the men over 50, like I said in another video, like to cook. The next thing is their experience. So that's my E. They are experienced men. And I'm not talking about sexually. I'm talking about experience in terms of life. So my Superman has been, he's retired military, 21 years. And he's just experienced so much. He's been to Korea and Egypt and Germany and Iraq and Iran, and he was in wars, and he's so interesting, but they have experience. He's well educated. He has a master's degree. These are men that know a lot about a lot. They say you know a lot about a little. They've been, most of the time, they're cultured, traveled, they dealt with multiple different women. So they kind of understand very much what they like. They're really, really easy to get along with most of the time too. The last one is A, and they're admirable. So when we go places, and my military man, and he also works for the government still, he'll never retire. He loves to work. But there's just something about him that I admire him. When I look at his shadow box, with all his military paraphernalia, I guess they call it. I'm like just amazed, like the presence that he has, and I admire him so much. I appreciate him. So I call them our DEAs. They're distinguished, they're experienced, and they're admirable. So for you as a woman in her 40s, it is a competitive market, y'all. So I'm not, these women in their 30s, leave me comments and other platforms. I'm not talking to you, okay? We, as 40-year-old women that really do have it together, we're feminine and we're pretty, we're inspiring. These men want us because they don't want to date their daughters, okay? They don't want to date their sons. There's a certain group of men that still believe in kind of the more traditional values, and they don't want younger women. They do want a more seasoned woman, but they typically, even in their 50s, might want someone that's about 10 years younger. And I found this actually as I'm getting older and talking with these older men, and really the circles that my Superman is in, I'm seeing that unless they marry these women in their 20s, they're typically going for women in their 40s. Something else I want to share here is something online, and I may or may not leave the link below to it, but it was talking about older men, and this woman was sharing why she dated them, and she just said their experience, their culture, which is something I said. They do tend to be more financially stable, but it depends. I may have an interview with someone that'll tell you, basically it's not always the case. I went to a wedding just yesterday, my friend's 60 plus, and it doesn't mean that you're with a man that's financially stable, especially if he's been divorced, especially if he's had multiple children, he's been paying child support for, so life happens. They do tend to be better at pleasing women, and I believe a lot of that comes from being very tender in terms of, and again, not sexually only, but just like my Superman, he comes home, he walked through that door, it's just, jump in his arms and give him a kiss, and he hugs me close, and then he doesn't let go until I let go, till I release. He just will hold me, and I'll sit up under him, he just gives me hugs, he touches my butt, just little things that make me feel special throughout the day and feel cherished, which is part of my goddess energy. And I'll talk about that in another video. They do have more sophisticated tastes. Men over 50 tend to look for more serious relationships. I know there's always exceptions to rules, but that's what they tend to look for. They do tend to be great cooks. Like I said, my Superman can cook. He can make sweet potato pies, macaroni and cheese, collards, anything healthy. He'll pull out recipe books. He's a phenomenal cook. So I'll typically cook during the weekdays, and he cooks on the really on Sundays. They do tend to have a healthier lifestyle. One thing I've also noticed with 50 plus men is really they got a lot of that foolishness out of them, that player stuff, that, men are men, some exercise their options, but typically at 50 plus, they just want peace. They really do just want to come home to a peaceful atmosphere and a beautiful woman and just peace. So they're not out to really be out and about just fooling around. They don't want that typically. And so yeah, those are the things I wanted to share. And I'm going to just create more content around these 50 plus men because they're amazing and they know what they want. Again, typically they are, single or divorced, meaning they had children out of wedlock or were married and they have children, because if you have children and you're 40 plus and you don't want more children, you're typically going to get with a man that doesn't want more children either. So for me, I don't want more children. Not an option for me. So my Superman and the men that I was actually dating, I didn't want any children. So again, leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts around 50 plus men and what would you add that you have experienced. And if you're in your 40s, stay tuned to the next video because I'm going to talk about what you can do to attract these 50 and fine men to you, especially if you look younger. See you in the next video. Peace.